Our life has kind of pretty much come to a pause.
Missing for a month.
To not hear from my sister for even a week is abnormal.
Her family desperate for answers.
Even with very limited information, we have to do something. We can't sit here.
Tonight, they're offering a reward for any information that helps bring her home.
Ready to add dozens more charges. A push from the Boulder DA to ramp up the case against a suspected shooter in the deadly King Soopers attack.
And that was its own fresh hell.
And a Colorado couple kept apart for weeks by a life-threatening case of coronavirus.
It's incredible what the healthcare workers did for me.
Now he's back home and on the mend, and they're sharing a fresh perspective and a whole new lease on life.
So it's April in Colorado, and that means snow is never too far away. It is starting to taper off here in the metro, leaving behind some slick roads out there. And good evening, and welcome to Denver7 News at 10. I'm Ann Trujillo.
And I'm Shannon Ogden. We're glad you're with us tonight. We want to get right to our chief meteorologist, Mike Nelson. Not much accumulation here in the metro, but it's a different story up in the mountains, Mike.
Mountains had a good little burst of snow, about 3-4 inches, and a few spots in the northern part of the Denver metro had close to the same. It is mostly ended now. This is the view downtown. Snow on the grass right in front of the state capitol and some slick streets in the foreground. We had a little burst of snow move through, lasted a couple of hours, and especially on the north side of Denver, dropped the most of the moisture. It's pushed off to the east of us, but there's still some back to the west, which means there's an unsettled pattern still for tomorrow. So the snow showers ending, some slippery streets tonight. We'll get some rain showers down here tomorrow with a little bit of snow in the mountains, but there's a big warming trend for the weekend. Details coming up.
Tonight, this Greenwood Village woman is missing, and her family is desperate to find her. The last time anyone saw Kim Lujentrango was 1 month ago in Greenwood Village.
And since then, family members filed missing persons report, asked help from the FBI, and now they're offering a reward for information.
As Denver7 Sloan Dickey reports, the family says not hearing from Kim for this long is completely out of character.
Kim Lujentrango has been missing for a month.
Our family is just extremely worried.
Last seen here on March 20th, her family has been searching, but few answers have surfaced.
We saw no activity on, any type of social media platforms. We knew something was not right.
Her family lives in Maryland. They last heard from her the afternoon she disappeared.
My sister was staying with a gentleman, and there was a domestic disturbance. So police came to that domestic disturbance, and they removed her from that location, and they dropped her off at the Bellevue rail station.
She was dropped off by police here at the Bellevue RTD station in Greenwood Village that afternoon. Cameras tracing her movements.
That was just after 2:45 p.m.
The last images of Kim were recorded here that same afternoon as she headed east on this bridge, leaving the station below. She hasn't been seen or heard from since.
When we completely lost contact, when her phone was dead and never came back on.
Kim and her family are part of the Laguna Pueblo tribe. Her family already registered her missing with the FBI. Wednesday, Greenwood Village police put out this flyer hoping for new leads.
It's been extremely challenging just to kind of sit here and not be able to do anything actionable or have any actionable information that we can go on.
A month later, with no word, Kim's family increasing their efforts once again.
Our family is offering a $10,000 reward for any information that directly leads to her return.
Even traveling to Denver to search themselves.
Just asking anybody who's in the street or looking in homeless shelters to see if there's any chance that anybody may have found her.
Now they're asking Coloradans.
Really just turning to the people of the Denver metro area and asking for your help in locating my sister.
For any information that can help bring Kim home. Sloan Dickey, Denver7.
A little over 4 weeks ago, a man walked into a King Soopers in Boulder with a gun and shot 10 people dead.
And tonight there is an effort to lay dozens more charges on the suspected shooter, a 21-year-old from Arvada. Ahmed Al-Aliwa Lisa is already facing 10 murder charges and 1 attempted murder charge. And now the Boulder DA plans to file a motion to bring that up to a total of 33 attempted murder charges. The DA names 17 people who stared death in the face on that day, as well as bystanders. It lists many of the police officers who stormed into King Soopers to stop the shooter. The motion would also add charges for assault and use of a prohibited large-capacity magazine during a crime.
And tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, the Boulder District Attorney plans to give an update, lay out the next steps in this process. And we're going to bring you details right here and on the denverchannel.com.
Meanwhile, Boulder City Council is getting behind an effort to change gun laws nationwide. Last night, the council voted on a resolution urging state and federal leaders to take new action. Among other things, the council's backing universal background checks, a waiting period of at least 6 days on gun purchases, and preventing state gun laws from overruling local controls. A judge blocked Boulder's assault weapons ban less than 2 weeks before the shooter walked into King Soopers with a semi-automatic pistol.
Coronavirus case numbers on the rise in Colorado. Today, our state reported nearly 1,500 new cases, and we've seen case numbers climb now for weeks. We had a low point back in March, but we've been going up ever since then. A similar picture for hospital beds in use because of the pandemic. That tonight is 613. The last time we saw a number that high was way back in January.
More than 1.5 million Coloradans are now fully vaccinated. So why are numbers going up? Well, we're digging a little deeper tonight. With older Coloradans being offered the vaccine first, many of them are fully protected. And that is starting to show in the numbers. Back in November, people aged 40 and older made up 48% of cases. And today, that's fallen to just over 34%. Well, today, people under the age of 40 make up roughly 2 in every 3 cases.
And state health leaders now are increasingly concerned about vaccine hesitancy. The health providers say we could hit a point in the next few weeks where we have more vaccines available than people willing to take them. The U.S. Census Bureau reports about 14% of Coloradans are hesitant about getting the vaccine. Colorado providers say they're starting to see some vaccine appointments go unfilled. The state's now trying to make it easier to get your shot by offering walk-up, drive-up appointments at some locations with no appointment needed. Now, the end is in sight. I know that's how so many of us are feeling about this year plus of COVID.
And even though we are getting closer, here's a reminder why you don't want to risk getting sick.
This is not a hoax. This is not fake news. This is not the flu.
That was Mark Neppe last November, barely able to get the words out while his body battled COVID at Littleton Hospital. He went in October 9th, spent 3 weeks on a ventilator near death, released to rehab November 12th, and finally home for good November 30th. He's home, but still needs oxygen at night.
It's a slow but steady improvement, and you know, that's the best I can hope for right now.
7.5 long weeks. Most of that time, this couple married for 30 years spent apart.
And that was its own fresh hell. I don't know any other circumstance like that. I've had family members on ventilators and in ICUs, but I was able to be with them. And so not only to not be able to be by his side and hold his hand and power him through that way, but also to be in isolation and not have people by my side too. It required fortitude that neither one of us probably knew we had.
Much of what Mark went through in that hospital bed, isolated, is slowly coming back. The sights, the sounds, the voices. They have gone back to visit the ICU.
It was good to see the people who saved my life.
Did you shed a few tears?
It was
walking around
emotional.
the ICU?
It was, I definitely did. Several of the doctors and nurse practitioners and RNs kind of flocked around him. He was like the mayor. And I think it is very beneficial for them to see someone walking back in and doing this well. They need that too.
The Neppes also needed to give back. Even after Mark was home, Suzanne went bearing gifts weekly to that ICU. Snacks and drinks and other goodies to the staff who saved her husband's life. The couple has also become a sort of COVID consultant to other couples, talking them through the same COVID traumas to let them know they're not alone.
So it's evolved into this wonderful mushroom of people communing together and sharing some positive out of a lot of negative.
Do you have any idea what your bills have added up to?
Well, let me say this about that. Yes, I mean, we're fortunate to have a decent health coverage, and also I'm over 65, so I have Medicare, which did pick up the lion's share, but we're in the $1 million range now.
And through it all, the Neppes are so thankful for each other, for healthcare workers, for the vaccine which they have now received, and they really do have a new outlook on life.
My wife can't wait to take me on a plane.
I cannot wait to get on a plane, Ann, and I have a fear of flying.
Wow.
There's my epiphany.
But I'm not in a hurry, so there
We
there
were
you
supposed to go to Italy for our 30th, and he was intubated the day after our 30th. So, I'm like, if not now, when? I mean, once he gets cleared, I think I am really anxious to get going and do stuff. And he might be a little less so.
We're buying more expensive wines now.
We're definitely buying more expensive wines.
Why not?
I mean, it's kind of like, okay, all right, we're being given a second chance. And we know that. We both know that.
So cheers to the Neppies, and we all wish them many more years of good health and good travel.
It was just sort of like dissociation, disconnect.
Struggling with her own body, one Coloradan is seeking answers in surgery.
It's just this one last piece that I need to deal with until I can sort of be myself authentically.
Why insurance won't cover it, and what they're doing to secure this life-changing procedure.
So there's a little snow still to contend with for tonight, mainly for the mountains. Coming up, I think you're going to really like the weekend forecast.